Alliance. Oh gosh, I already butchered the name. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Azaria's Place. I'm Azaria, and you're at my place. So, it's another day on the interwebs today. I don't know what I'm trying to accomplish with this. Hi everybody. Oh gosh. I need to stop hitting this. And so, these guidelines. Everybody, and welcome back to Azaria's Place. And today we are going to be talking about... I don't even know. So this union, Hi everybody, and welcome back to Azaria's Place. Hope you guys are all doing great today. Today we're going to be talking about what the heck is Broadway going to look like in a post-pandemic world. And I'm sure everyone is curious. I'm someone who does some backstage stuff as well as on-stage performing. So I was really excited to hear that there was anything about this because we're all really anxious to see what theater is going to look like. I know there have been a lot of online readings and special performances that were just re-aired, and so I know it's been a really good time for me. I feel like I've had so much more access to theater and professional theater than I feel like I've had in the past. Now it's been a really good time because people have been just putting their art on YouTube. The Disney 25th anniversary concert was put on YouTube. So there were so many things I felt like I didn't get the chance to experience live that I finally got to experience in my own home. But at the same time, it's really sad because we can't go experience any of this stuff live. So the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees put out a 27-page document basically detailing their new guidelines for the reopening of theaters. So the International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees is actually a union that represents thousands, hundreds of thousands of technicians, stagehands, artists, performers, wardrobe specialists, etc., like you name it. This list of guidelines was reviewed by medical experts in occupational health and safety. So today I'm basically just going to give you the rundown of everything I read. I want to emphasize, I'm just a girl who read the document, and so I don't really know if or when these things will get put in place. I can't give you those kind of answers. So this document detailed a lot of different things from basically front of house, back of house, cast and crew, and audience member safety. So it kind of details a lot. Again, it's 27 pages. There are multiple sections. There is even a highlight section that just kind of goes over the basics of everything they talked about. I will be posting that 27-page document below if anyone wants to read it themselves. So first, the biggest one is, I think, and there's actually a whole section in this document titled Communication, and I think that that is going to be the key, as it is in most cases in the world. Communication is key. And so the biggest thing that they emphasize is having written COVID-19 safety plans. So basically this written plan will have all of their policies and procedures written down, and if there are multi-employer vendors, they are also going to have a process written down for how they're going to coordinate with those other vendors, as well as how they're going to come in contact with them, if they're going to be in contact with them at all. And as you would expect, these guidelines also in this written plan must comply with federal, state, and local guidelines as well. The document talked about front of house, back of house, shop specifications, so costume shop, scene shop, the restrooms, all of it. It talked about the whole 9 yards. So basically your plan must cover all of these aspects. Anything that anybody could come in contact with, you must cover in your written plan. Your written policy also has to outline your budget. So how much money are you willing to spend on personal protective equipment and cleaning supplies and things like that? And the written policy must also cover consequences for people who violate the policies, who's responsible for correcting those hazards, as they call it in the document, and also what must be done if someone feels unsafe because of the violation. Also, these guidelines say that there must be a CCO, which stands for a COVID-19 Compliance Officer. Basically, the CCO is basically going to be someone who is specialized in training and will have basically the biggest amount of authority in all COVID-19 related things. So that's hygiene, cleaning, and implementing and making sure that all the policies and guidelines are being followed. So basically, this person is going to be the person in charge of all things COVID-19 related to make sure that everyone feels safe and that they are always compliant with their guidelines. And the CCO must be accessible at all times during work days. So basically, they're going to be someone who's going to be around all the time just to make sure that everyone's doing what they're supposed to, because like I said, this document details a lot. So it actually gave exact numbers in cases of how many people are allowed to work at certain times in certain areas, what to do if you can't cover your face, what to do if you need more than one person on a job, things like that. So basically the CCO is there to make sure that everyone is staying as safe as possible and limiting their risk of exposure. Another thing that I thought was important to add, especially in this time where many people are out of work, and I don't know how they're getting paid, if they're getting paid right now due to the long closures, thought it was really important to add that they said that a critical component of their safety plan was assurance of paid leave and income retention if they had to leave due to exposure. This also covered a worker's right not to return to work if they felt unsafe or exposed, and it also talked about testing, self-screening, as well as the process of returning to work after you exhibit symptoms or are actually exposed. Another thing that this document also expressed concern in was ventilation. So sometimes theaters, you feel like they're hot and stuffy. I know I've been in theaters that I've been in shows at / worked at that they turn off their AC as soon as the show starts because it's loud and, but it talked about how the lack of airflow can actually hurt them more than it can help them. So because of the lack of ventilation in theaters and the concern with that, they proposed having an increased circulation of outdoor air as much as possible via opening windows and doors and using fans as well as other methods. So I thought that was super interesting just to add. I don't even think I notice windows in theaters as much. I don't know how many windows there are in theaters to open. I don't know if I said this before, but as far as personal protective equipment, I found this to be kind of a little gray area-y just because I couldn't tell where it stopped at the rehearsal process to the audience and when they're actually in production and on stage. It said that all cast and crew members should wear PPE except when not feasible. Later, it does point out that cast members may not be able to wear them when performing. Where it got interesting for me was when we talk about bathrooms and things such as hygiene. It also said that there would be a limit placed on the number of people in the bathroom at a time. And this is again where I got confused on how do you control that in the rehearsal process versus how do you control that for audience goers. And it said that it has to be consistent with physical distance requirements and ventilation. The question that this proposed for me was restrooms. How does that work with intermissions? My first thought when I read this was intermission bathroom breaks. So later in this document, it did suggest increasing the number of intermissions, if possible, to reduce crowding, which I guess that means you'd have multiple intermissions or a prolonged intermission. I don't know. It's just like, what if everybody decides to wait until the actual intermission, the half of the show? What if everyone decides to wait till then? What do you do then? Do you make it a longer intermission? I don't know. This obviously makes me want to cry. As far as things like hand washing, it did say that there would be an allotted number of times that everyone had to wash their hands. They actually gave a full list of times that you should wash your hands that I'll post right here for you guys to see. But they also said that you should avoid touching others that are not in your immediate family. I'm assuming this applies really to people going to see the show and not so much people in the shows, because I know that there are some siblings and family members who do shows together, but when you're in a show starring as someone who has a love interest, how do you avoid touching them? I don't know. That's where I'm saying, I think that this document got a little gray area-y for me in terms of what's allowed on stage. It does later say that makeup artists and dressers should not float between cast members and that they must wear protective equipment when they're helping during the show. And it realizes that cast members may not be able to because they're in the show. It's just a lot. It's a lot of questions that I have. They also said they would provide personal pocket-sized hand sanitizer to everyone as well, which I think that's kind of nice. Maybe they'll be scented, who knows. As far as rehearsals, depending on how long you're in rehearsals, you'll get a break every so often, and depending on how long you've been rehearsing, that dictates how long your break is. But this also talked about how you must then social distance during those meal breaks, and it also discourages leaving the site for your breaks as well as to get food. But of course, there's your standard using plexiglass as well as marking the floors to promote social distancing. But one of the things that really hurt me the most was the elimination of backstage tours and stage dooring. Stage dooring is not everyone's favorite thing. There are even performers who flat out don't stage door, and they've made that very known that they don't really want to come in contact with strangers. And then there are people that love doing that will wait hours and talk to people at the stage door literally for hours. I understand why this is being cut out, because I've hugged strangers that they don't know me at the stage door plenty of times. And I mean, yeah, it's a big risk because they're doing a show 8 times a week and they don't know if we're sick, even without the COVID-19 pandemic. So now if anyone cares about food services and things like that, I'm not normally one who gets an intermission snack, but I know some people really do like their souvenir cups and getting their drinks and things like that. It's said that everything that you use, from cups to cutlery, should be disposable. And that's not just the stuff that they're selling you at the theater when you come to see a show, but it also meant, I guess, when you have vendors, they should have all individually packaged food and disposable cutlery and cups and mugs. And it said that souvenir cups should be eliminated. It said that there should be pre-mixed cocktails in bottles only, and also to reduce or eliminate mixed drinks and draft systems. And I think the last obvious thing is lots of digital things. The thing that really, for me, this is the performer side of me, was like, oh, if there's going to be lots of digital, how does that work for signing in when you come to the rehearsal? How does that work? And so it did say that they would have one person assigned for any paperwork or signage, things like that. So I guess there'd be someone literally waiting at the call board to sign you in. This one I felt like seemed impossible, and I guess it really just depends on the space you're working with. And that was social distancing in dressing rooms and the use of plexiglass as well. Now, depending on the size of your show, this might be very possible, but if you have a very ensemble-heavy show and you don't have the space to social distance, I don't know what that really means. Lastly, another one that was a big question mark for me was the role of ushers and front of house. And again, it did say a lot of touchless ticket scanning was going to be probably the main mode of ticket scanning, meaning that the guest would hold on to whatever they have, whether it be the paper copy or a digital copy on their phones, and not hand them to the ushers or anybody working front of house. It said that they should eliminate close contact with guests and escorting guests to seats. Also said that they were going to use tables or racks for program distribution, meaning that the ushers would not be handing you your program. They would just have them set out for you. You would grab one and I guess go find your seat. But again, it's really a question of how well do people know the theater space to know where they're supposed to be sitting. I guess it also means they have to label their theaters a little better as well. As I said, this detailed a lot of information, but it also promoted having the least amount of people working on site as possible. And if you needed more people, you had to work in small groups, and your groups could not intermingle. And it's all to limit contact and exposure. As someone who loves theater as a performer, as someone who's done backstage, front of house stuff, I'm excited that we even have a plan in place. I know we have a long way to go. Broadway is currently shut down until at least January 3rd, so these guidelines might not be coming in handy anytime soon, but I know it's a start. I know we are all anxious for Broadway to come back, but we want it to come back in the safest way possible. So with that being said, again, let me know in the comments what you're sad about hearing, what you're happy about hearing. I'm happy to hear that there's even guidelines in place. It's a start. I know it's not quite over the finish line yet, but it's truly a start to just have at least an idea of where we can begin to come back from what's going on in our world right now. So yeah, everyone stay safe, and on to the Show Tune Spotlight. So today's Show Tune Spotlight is actually going to be What I Did for Love from a chorus line. Like I said, we all, at least I'm assuming people that are watching this video, love theater or love entertainment in general. We all want it back. We all know it's gonna not be the same way, but it's truly what we do for love. I picked What I Did for Love because I felt like it was very fitting. And all these guidelines are going to be put in place because we love theater so much. A chorus line has actually been revived before, and it also has a film, but the original Broadway production opened in July of 1975 and closed in April of 1990. So go give it a listen. It's actually a very great musical. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what your comments and opinions are in the comments. Let me know what show you're anxious to see when theater hopefully comes back. And yeah, so until this Sim Saturday, thank you guys for watching and be kind.